My name's Chris Denmon. I'm an attorney at Denmon & Perlman, and this video that we're shooting for you, it's for somebody that probably doesn't have an attorney or a new attorney that's not really sure. So we're going to take you through it step by step, and we're also going to have a few additional stuff that you can go ahead and download that we'll link to in the bottom of this video that will help set you on the right path and get you to where you need to go. Step number one, if you're trying to file a divorce, is first, make sure you have all the right paperwork. So with a divorce, there's a couple of different documents that you're always going to have to put together. They have different names to them, and we're going to go over them, and you have to make sure, the first step is use your checklist and make sure you have all the right stuff. So what do you need? First, you need a petition for dissolution of marriage. And so it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an old school document that you got to fill out, and in this document you're going to say, this is my name, this is my spouse's name, one of us has been a resident of this state, in Florida, for at least 6 months prior to filing the petition for dissolution of marriage. You're going to go through the specific issues that are going to happen in your case. Think we got to divide some assets, maybe we have to do alimony, maybe we got kids and we got to do a time-sharing plan, or maybe we have child support, whatever the case may be. And you're going to let the court, put the court on notice as to that there's a case and what issues have to be resolved. So that's document one, that's the petition. Document two, you need an affidavit. It's a social security affidavit, just something that's required under statute, and it's a one-page document, and you're going to put your social security number on it, and you're going to sign and swear under oath that that's the right information. This stuff will be private. People can't go and get this document. The clerk of the court, after you file it, will keep it private for you. That's the second document you'll need. The third document you'll need will be a notice that you're going to swear that your spouse is or is not in the military. The reason you're doing that is because if your spouse was in the military, then the courts have to do some different stuff with that, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to swear on an affidavit and notify the court that most of the time that your spouse is not in the military, and then the court knows and they don't have to do that special stuff. The next document that you need, if you have it completed, you don't have to, but you should if you can, you'll have your financial affidavit completed. And that's a document where you swear under oath as to what your income, expenses, assets, and debts are. The next document will be the UCCJEA, or the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdictional Enforcement Affidavit. The long and short of it is it's a document that you swear under oath where your children, again this only applies if you have children, but where your children have resided for the last 5 years. It's a federal statute that makes us do it. So you want to go ahead and get that done. The next document that you'll need will be a summons. The summons is a single-page document, and you're going to take the summons, and the clerk is actually going to sign this document for you and give it back to you. It's going to be that document that you'll take along with a copy of all the rest of the paperwork we're talking about, and you'll take it to a process server who can then serve the process, serve the documents on your spouse. Step two, very simple. Make a copy of all your documents. I recommend scanning everything in so you have a copy. It's 2018 when we're filming this, so go ahead and get it digital, but you want to make a copy because what you bring to the courthouse, the clerk of the court's going to take it from you. Step number three is to go to the clerk of the court. And if you haven't been there before, we have a link underneath this video that you can just click on. It takes you to the main, for Florida, the main clerk of the court's website, and you can just look for your particular county and see where your clerk location is. And if you're in a bigger county, we're filming this right now in Pinellas County, for example, then there's going to be multiple clerks. Find the one that's closest to you. Make sure you double check the business hours because it is the state. They don't have the biggest business hours. And go with a copy of all the paperwork that we've talked about. Step number four, go to the clerk of the court and pay the filing fee. It's not cheap to file a divorce case. It's $408 to file the case, and then if you need a summons, which is one of the documents we talked about earlier, if you're going to have to serve your spouse, it's going to be another $10 for the clerk to stamp that. Step number five is to perfect service on your spouse, and what that means is in a lot of cases, you're going to use the traditional way of actually hiring a process server, taking all your documents along with the summons that was signed by the clerk, giving it to a process server, and having the process server actually serve it on your spouse. After which the process server will sign an affidavit that says, I swear I served your spouse with these documents. That kind of perfects the whole thing. It gets the whole thing started from your perspective. You don't always have to do it that way. There's a nicer way to do it, but it requires your spouse to play ball with you. And the nicer way of doing it is to have an agreement of acceptance of service. It's a document that you can go to your spouse with that document, you personally, instead of taking the process server and having him do it. And go to your spouse and say, hey spouse, will you just sign this document? This is where you swear, hey, yeah, I got these documents. I understand there's a lawsuit, a divorce, and I'm ready to get started with it. I'm going to submit myself to this jurisdiction. Step six is a bonus or an optional step, and it applies if you already have your case worked out and you have a settlement agreement done, and that's to call the judge and get a final hearing date. And I call that an optional step because I hope you're there. 1 through 5 is taking you to everything that you need to do to get your divorce paperwork filed in Florida. But what if you and your spouse have nothing to disagree about and you have everything worked out, then you have a settlement agreement, and if you have kids, you have a parenting plan, well then you got everything you need. You have an uncontested divorce, and in that case, you can go ahead and file those documents with the clerk of the court, call the judge and say, Judge, get me in for a 5-minute hearing. That's all I need is 5 minutes, and the judge can then prove up jurisdiction and finalize your divorce and stamp off on it. If you think that an uncontested divorce might be an option for you, we put together a whole video taking you through the process. If it applies to you, you can just go ahead and click on the card. It'll take you to that video, and it'll help you out. My name's Denmon. I'm a partner at Denmon Perlman, and I hope this video was helpful to you.